Hello, I'm Jen with Space for Sunflowers, and welcome to my chaotic crafty business channel. This week I am filming a little bit late since I told myself I would be posting videos on Tuesdays. Today is Tuesday, so we're gonna do it live, as we sometimes say, and just get it done and get it out there. So hi, welcome. Let's talk about some craft business things and enjoy some chaos and some coffee. Okay, so this week I would like to recap the market that I did this past weekend. It is officially market season, and that means that I am busy. And that's a good thing. I love to be busy. So I have 8 weeks of markets this fall season, and I have scheduled 7 markets across those 8 weeks, which is absolutely bananas considering I have 3 whole weekends in there that I'm not doing any markets at all. So that means that I am doubled up. I am booked solid. When I'm available, I'm at a market. So that's great. This weekend started it off with the Foodie Fare in downtown Raleigh, put on by Makers. I had been eyeing this organizer and this market for a while. I think I actually had it on my radar back at the beginning of the year when I was planning out my markets for the year. And I had told myself I was going to apply to their March market, but it just never worked out with timing. Schedules were a little bit harder to manage back in the spring. So it worked out that this is the first one that I've done, and I'm going back to it again in November. That said, I think this market, I can't really judge this market based on the performance and the experience from this past weekend because there were some contributing factors that I hadn't really considered that I will definitely be considering in the future when it comes to not just this market, but applying to markets in general at the time of year. So those contributing factors are, and these aren't excuses, they're just things that I didn't think of when I was planning out the market. It was opening weekend for the North Carolina State Fair. The NC State Fair fairgrounds are not that far from downtown Raleigh, and they're a big deal. It's a big fair. Like, the NC State Fair is a big fair. So a lot of people go. It gets upwards of 1 million visitors every year. It's a big fair. Competing with that to do any sort of activity where you're trying to draw a crowd is not a super great idea in general. And I did mention that the market organizer or somebody who worked with Makers came around during the market and asked how things were, and I was upfront and said it's been slow. I think we're victims of the state fair this weekend. And they were very nice and friendly when I spoke to them, but I could kind of tell that my feedback wasn't really landing with them because they were like, oh, well, some people said that they've been busy and some people have said it's slow and they think it's the fair. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's the fair. That was one thing. The other contributing factor, and I didn't learn this until later. Well, I mean, I had seen advertising for it, but I guess I didn't put 2 and 2 together, was that Makers itself had a competing fair or market going on in the next city over in Durham on the same day as the market that I was doing. So it kind of felt like they were diverting their own audience. I know Raleigh and Durham are 2 different cities. However, they are close enough, like, where it would compete if there are events going on in downtown Raleigh. There are events going on in downtown Durham. There's the state fair going on at the same time, and it's market season. I did talk to customers that came through the booth and who had said that they came from another fair just around the corner, there was another fair happening, like market. She had a beautiful henna tattoo that she had gotten. I was like asking her about her henna tattoo because I was like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Did you get that here? And she said, she's like, yes, but no, not here. Like around the corner, there's another market and we just came from there. So all those things together combined, I think there was too much going on. It was a big weekend for events in this area, and not everyone is going to draw the crowd. Obviously, the state fair is going to get the biggest crowd. There's just no way around that. It's going to go to the state fair. I'm not a fair person. Honestly, you couldn't pay me to go to the state fair on a Saturday, but there's a reason for that. Like, it's because everybody else goes to the state fair on a Saturday, and good for them. But like, yeah, thinking ahead to next year, I think I will take the state fair. It only runs for, I think, 11 days. So it's 2 weekends, but the opening weekend, especially because it was the first full day that the fair was open. I think the fair opens on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. It's either a Thursday or a Friday, and it runs through the following weekend. So the first full weekend it was open. A lot of people are excited about the fair. We always have like some weird fried food. That's like the new thing here. So people like to go see what the new fried food is. There's vendors there. There's, it's an actual agricultural state fair. So like there's livestock and there's dog shows, dog agility shows, like herding shows where the dogs have to show off that they can herd. There are pig races. Like people get excited for it. Kids love to go. Not my kids, thank God, because like I said, you couldn't pay me to go to the fair at this time of my life. But so all that to say, it was a slow day at the market. It started off solid. I had my first 2 sales within 15 minutes of the market opening. And then we waited a while. And overall, at the end of the day, I did make back my booth fee. I did double my booth fee, but that was it. And with booth fees in this area being on the higher side, averages for a fair like this with an established organizer that does routine fairs or markets, the average booth fee is like $100 in this area. So doubling your booth fee only means bringing in like $200, which is about what I did. I did a little bit more than that, but that is about what We're a couple of minutes into the Foodie Fare market, downtown Raleigh. Already had a couple of sales, so that's feeling pretty good. Have had quite a bit of traffic in the booth. It took me seriously up until 1 minute past the start of the market to get fully set up this morning, which is typical for me. I like to get here early. It takes me a while to get set up. I've got my crochet, I've got my lunch with me today since I'm by myself, and I'm just looking forward to having a great day. We'll check in a bit. We're closing in on the second hour of this market. Lots of foot traffic, lots of interest in the booth. Not a whole lot of sales since the last time we checked in. They started playing Christmas music pretty soon after that, and I'm not sure if that's really helping or hurting the cause at this point because it's still mid-October, so Christmas is just far enough away where I don't know if it's really on people's minds yet. Who knows? So we'll see how the rest of this market goes. I'm taking a quick break to have some lunch while I have a chance. I've been working on making a pair of mitts while I've been here. So all in all, it's a lovely day. Got to talk to lots of people so far, lots of interesting compliments, not a lot of sales. I will hopefully see that turn around in the last couple hours, but we'll see. All right. Last market check-in before it's time to pack up. Got about 12 minutes left to this market. It was a slow one. I covered the cost of my booth, but not much else. So the recap should be pretty short when I get home and get the recap going. I just realized there's something on my shoulder, some kind of smudge. Nice. Yeah, so we'll do a full recap once I get packed up and get home. I think there were a couple of factors that worked against us today. The NC State Fair, which is a really big state fair, but I think that was a big contributing factor to today. But we'll get it all packed up shortly and recap when I'm back at home. It was definitely not, it was disappointing, to be perfectly honest. I'm still going to reserve judgment though. I'm doing this market again in November. I think the location in downtown Raleigh, I was excited for the location. It's right outside of a kids museum downtown, which is nice. The one drawback is that there's kind of a mixed bag of things in that area. So there's the kids museum, there's the dive bar, there's some nice restaurants. It's sort of just a very eclectic area of Raleigh, and that's fine. So the foot traffic, you get, I feel like, a more natural flow of foot traffic, but what that does mean is that you will probably get a little bit more curious window shoppers than dedicated shoppers who are there to spend money. And that's fine. I did get to talk to quite a few people while I was at the fair. I keep calling it a fair because they called it the Foodie Fare, but at the market, I talked to quite a few people, which was great. I had some good conversations with people. People took cards. People were very complimentary of the items that I had for sale that day. And the sales that I made were good. I made good sales. So let's get into it, actually. Get into sales. So the market started, like I said, at 11 o'clock. I had my first sales during that 11 o'clock hour, and I sold a granny square beanie and a sunflower sea turtle. Oh my gosh, the sweetest little girl who was there with her family, and they would let her pick one thing. And it was between the sunflower sea turtle, an acorn pop, and a tomato. And she chose the sunflower sea turtle, and I was happy because I love the sunflower sea turtles. They're my favorite. So that was the 11 o'clock hour. We did not see any more sales until the 1 o'clock hour. So that's like an hour and a half later of when we sat. People came through the booth, they talked, we chatted, they looked at things, but no more sales until 1 o'clock hour when I sold another sunflower sea turtle, a chunky mushroom plush, and a regular sea turtle keychain at the 1 o'clock hour. 2 o'clock hour, we saw two more chunky mushroom plushes, a axolotl mochi mystery box, which I have them all packed up. I will show footage of them or a picture of them, but because I did take pictures before I packaged them up, but these were the mystery boxes that I made exclusively for this market. So I will only have them this past weekend, and then when I do the market again in November, and I will not bring them to the other markets that I have. So I'll have to come up with a different sort of mystery box for the markets in between, since I won't have the mochis with me. But that's great. So I sold my first mochi mystery box in the 2 o'clock hour and another sea turtle keychain. 3 o'clock hour, right as I was packing up, I had one more family come in and they bought 2 more mochi mystery boxes. The girls were drawn in by the giant axolotl that I have in my booth and like wouldn't let it go. Like she was so enamored with this giant axolotl, and the mom asked how much it was. It's my showstopper piece. It was the first showstopper that I made, so I have it priced at $50. If I were to make it again today at this size, it would probably be a little bit more since it's really big, like big axolotl. But $50. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, if they really like axolotls, my mystery boxes are all axolotls right now. They're just different flavors. So the girls got very excited about that, and they got their mystery boxes, which was great. I do number the bottom of my mystery boxes so I can tell what is selling, not while I'm there. With the Hogwarts mystery boxes I had done previously, I did remember which one was which because as my teenager pointed out, I kind of just went around the crest when I numbered it. So it was very easy to know that like, oh, Gryffindor 1, Slytherin 2, Hufflepuff 3, Ravenclaw 4. You just went around the crest. So this one I tried to mix it up a little bit more. So I didn't remember which was which. But I have since looked back at what has sold, and I sold 2 matcha and 1 mango. So only the M's sold. I had matcha, mango, blueberry, cherry, and Oreo cookie. So the matcha and the mango were the ones that sold, and I had just mixed them up, set them out. It was completely random. What was out on the floor or on the shelf for this markets, yeah, but it's funny that that's what ended up selling, are only those 2. So I'll have plenty more. I made 15 for this market. I sold 3, so I will have 12. That means that I had 3 complete sets since there were 5 flavors this time. So I had 3 complete sets going into this market with the hope I'd have to make them again. With the intention though of maybe being able to carry that inventory to both markets. As it turned out with the way this market went, that will definitely be the case. I don't know if I need to make any more mochi mystery boxes for the next market, so we shall see. Sales in general, that comes to a total of 10 sales for the day across 4 hours. There was quite a bit of sitting. I did make things during the markets. I can show off the things that I made. That's really all I have to show off today are the things that I made at the market, and one thing that I made the day after the market that I'm very excited about. Average sale was $21.50. Total in sales, total collected was $226.55. That breaks down to $5.79 in Square. Fees, since $50 was cash, $176.55 was on the card. Square took $5.79 for fees, and I paid $11.55 in tax. That brings my total item sales to $215. Yep. An average sale of $21.50 is not bad. That's actually pretty good. I always feel pretty good if the average sale is anything over $20, since the $20 and below items are what sells most often. In fact, my highest selling item at this market was the sunflower sea turtle, which was $18. So yeah, everything was, oh, I sold a tomato too. I sold more things. I sold more things than that thing. So let me go down this again. Sorry, I tried to do the hour by hour, but it didn't show me everything hour by hour. That's weird. All right, so we sold, all told, 1 small granny square beanie, 3 axolotl mochi mystery boxes, 3 chunky mushroom plush toys. I had brought 4, 3 of them sold. A flower pocket dragon. So those are the mini gliding dragons that slide on your finger. 2 sea turtle keychains. 1 standing kitty plush. It's not the loaf cat pattern, but it is a loaf cat style pattern. The sunflower, 2 sunflower sea turtles. 1 tomato. I had brought 3 of those. I was happy to see another one sell. And 1 whale plush. So yeah, interesting. Well, this market recap is a mess. It's fine. Yeah, so that's what's sold. I said it's going to be chaotic. So, thoughts on the market overall. I'm going to shift gears into my planner because I actually did write some notes down. I did cover quite a bit of them up at the top. Mostly that the state fair, I think definitely would have made a difference in the amount of traffic and customers that we saw at this market. Makers having a separate competing event. Oh, this I didn't talk about. So the separate competing event, the separate event they had in Durham was their Boo Fest. It was their Halloween seasonal market. This market, being the Foodie Fare, didn't have a theme, didn't have a season that was expressly communicated to the vendors. However, they had all of their Christmas focus at this market, which was confusing, to be perfectly honest. So they were advertising their upcoming holiday events that were going to be taking place around the area and was blasting Christmas music for the duration of the 4-hour market, which I was next to in my alley. I was next to 2 other vendors. The one on my right facing out of the booth was a patio enclosure. She was gathering consultation information. She and I were talking quite a bit during the market, and she was like, I mean, it was 85 degrees. It was 85 degrees 2 weeks before Halloween, and they're blasting Christmas music. We were very confused. We were like, apparently it's Christmas. And like when customers would come to the booths and they're like, is this Christmas? We're like, yeah, didn't you know? Doesn't it feel like Christmas? Can't you feel the crisp December air around you? Like, we were kind of joking about it and then would get laughs, but like it was a little confusing. And then the vendor on my left was an artisan who did these gorgeous cut paper layered art. Very cool. A lot of anime. She had license to work with anime artists, so they didn't want to do the cut art style or the cut paper style. So she works with them and she does the cut paper style based on their designs. It was really beautiful. And they were wearing like a Beetlejuice shirt and like another spooky shirt, and like everybody felt like ready for spooky season. My booth, of course, I had my fall items. I had made candy cauldrons that I had out toward the front. I had put candy on one of them and stacked the rest next to it. No attention. A pumpkin, I think one person picked it up. Mushrooms did get quite a bit of attention, but with the holiday music playing, the emphasis definitely shifted away from fall, away from spooky season, and into Christmas shopping, which I also don't know if helped or hurt. I mean, it couldn't have helped based on the low numbers that we brought in, but the 2 sales I made early on were also before they started playing Christmas music. And then it took another hour and a half before anybody was coming through the booth to purchase. And I was getting the feeling, because knowing me as a shopper, if I was out with my kids on a fall day and I saw something cute and they wanted it and it was small, I wouldn't think twice about it. If they're playing Christmas music, you start to shift into the mindset of, well, if you want something, Christmas is coming, put it on your wish list. Those impulse purchases, I feel like, were hurt by the Christmas music being played through the duration of the market, because everybody's mindset was not on Christmas. And then when you come into the market, you're sort of being conditioned to shift into that mindset. That's my takeaway. I could be wrong. That's how I ended up feeling about it, that it was harming the potential for some of those smaller impulse purchases in the moment, embracing the season because everybody is focusing on Christmas. You're starting to plan ahead for those gift shopping. And if you're out and about with your kids, you're not going to be gift shopping because they're there with you. That's a separate shopping trip than just wandering around the market downtown with your family and like, oh, that's cute. That's my takeaway. I could be wrong, like I said. It also would have helped if they had communicated that there was going to be an emphasis on Christmas beforehand, because I know I'm not the only vendor that would have shifted gears if I knew I had signed up for a Christmas focused market in October. I would have definitely shifted my inventory focus away from spooky season. I wouldn't have made cauldrons. I would have made pumpkins because that was left over from another market not left over, but I had a pumpkin that I had made previously and brought to other markets. But I would have maybe brought my tree. I have a tree. I put little ornaments on it that I make and sell. I would have spent the time that I spent on making the cauldrons, which now I have no chance of selling for the rest of the year because my next market is after Halloween, toward Christmas makes. If I knew that my last market in October was going to be already Christmas focused. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's how I felt. So what did I make? Transitioning away from the sales and the market itself, I'm going to keep a positive attitude toward the next time I go to the foodie fair. Like I said, I feel like there was quite a bit of external influence that impacted how this particular market went. So I'll reserve judgment until I see what a more standard foodie fair goes like in November. What did I make? So with time on my hands, I did definitely get to make some things. Not a whole lot since, like I said, people were coming into the booth and I was talking to quite a few people. But one thing that I did make, I forgot to bring stuffing with me. Kind of hard to make things when you forget the stuffing. So I did have a skein of the Karen Macchiato. These are small for my hands, obviously. But I did make a small set, child size, fingerless mitts. This is a cross stitch fingerless mitt pattern. I will paste this been in the bin, not tagged, not brushed, not ready for display, but I will link the pattern designer down below. This is a great pattern I got last year when I was starting to do markets. It does have two different variations. So this is the cross stitch version where the texture of the main body you make by crisscrossing half double crochets, or she does write it in a straight double crochet, half double crochet. So you can do either texture. I happen to really like the cross stitch method. I also cross stitch in addition to all of the things that I do. So that's what drew me to this pattern initially. Like I said, I have really narrow hands, so this is child size, but you can see my fingers stick way out. So I made this pair, and I have a messy beanie. I have two messy bun beanie hats in the same color, so this would make a lovely little gift set for somebody looking to buy gifts at my next market. That was the only thing I finished at the market itself, and then I made all of the components and then put it together when I had the stuffing for this little fox. I love this fox. This pattern is by the Cozy Buckeye. She has been doing a whole bunch of market creatures lately. I think the last one I've seen her release was a bear, but she did this fox, which you can also make into a wolf with by using gray yarn instead of the brown. Red, I like this variegated woodland brown from Bernat for the foxes. I just think it's so cute. But I also do make these in red, and I have this russet orange color. Yeah, they're very cute. I love the shaping on the tail. I love the ears. I love the detail that you use black tips on the ears. I love how the cheeks are constructed. And yeah, very cute make. And I also, to be perfectly frank, I've made other loaf style animals where I need to use a lot of shift stitches to get everything to line up perfectly. This pattern lines up for me. I really appreciate that. So well done on that, because not all the time do the patterns with the bobbles and the no-sew patterns, they don't always line up perfect, and you sometimes have to make some shifts and adjustment to get things to line up where you want them to. I think I do have to shift a little bit on the back bobbles for the feet, but everything else just lines up perfectly as written, so that's great. Cute little guy. I'll put a tag on him. I didn't have any foxes or wolves to sell at this market, so I'll be definitely working on a couple other buddies and definitely some wolves as well, since North Carolina, Raleigh, we live in the city of NC State. Mascot is the wolf pack, so definitely need to have wolves. And the last thing that I made since the market is this snuggly little sun blossom dragon. I love this pattern. Look at the embellishments and the details. So cute. I love it. Love it. I will link the pattern designer below. I do remember who made this one. It's a name that I'm not going to butcher, so I will link it below. But this is a paid pattern on Etsy. She also has a woodland guardian that matches this pattern. So this is the sun blossom dragon. There's also a sun blossom woodland or sun blossom guardian that matches with the sunflowers. Look at the wings. Like, the wings are flowers. The ears are flowers. We embroider a flower up on the top of the head. The face shaping is just, look at that. I love it. Love it, love it. I did embroider eyes, of course, because I like to embroider eyes. I did do some face shaping by pulling a strand of the body color through where the eyes were going to be to help give it that kind of shape that you would get from using sinker eyes without having the sinker eyes. I ran out of the mossy green that I used for the horns and the talons for the vine, but I mean, I like it. I think it works because the vine isn't exactly part of the body of the rest of the dragon. So I like how this turned out. Really great pattern, very well written, super easy to construct. Bit of sewing. So I think I'm trying to decide what I would sell this one for. I know I have some other big items that I sell for 50. I think I might try for 60 with this one though, just because of all of the pieces to sew together. The vine is one long chain that you sew on. The leaves are all made separately and sewed on. Every single flower, including the ears, the wings, the 3 flowers on the tail, the horns, the legs are actually crocheted in, but all of the other embellishments are sewed on. So I think I might land on 60 for this one, but let me know what you think down below. So cute. I need to make more. I need to make more in different flowers, and it sploots. I've not made any kind of this splooting laying down style. This isn't the designer that calls them splooting, but that's just all I can think of. But it lays so lovely on a shelf or in the palm of your hand. I love it. So cute. So cute. I didn't say what I charged the other things in here for. The fox, I believe, is 14. My standing kitties are 14, so I would guess the fox would be around 14 as well. And the fingerless mitts, I think at this size, the small size, might be 15. I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying numbers. I have no idea. I don't remember. It's in my software. It will be priced before the next market. So that's the recap and the things that I've made since. I will make sure to include footage from the market itself. I don't know if I gave myself a good time to do that, but I'll figure it out. I did actually take a little footage. I checked in a couple times during the market, so I will make sure to include that in the video. I also, next week will be another makes of the week recap. I do not have a market this week, so it will not be a market recap video. It will be makes. I've already started on making things this week. Yeah, even though my inventory is looking pretty healthy at the moment, but there are things that I still want to make, so I will make sure to share those in next week. And thank you for hanging out with me, listening to my chaotic ramblings, trying to learn how to do square right in front of you so you can see how I don't know what I'm doing. We'll get there. And I will see you all next week. Thanks so much. Bye.